we've issued executive orders to build the Keystone and Dakota pipelines, and issued a new requirement for American pipelines to be made with American steel and fabricated in the United States.
That was President Trump speaking to American steel workers just 6 days after his inauguration last year. Two problems the president might have today on his Buy American, Hire American credo. There is no infrastructure bill just yet, and the Trump administration's infrastructure proposal has zero mention of Buy American. Senators attending a Commerce Committee hearing today on rebuilding infrastructure in America, that's what it was called, pushed that point.
Can you direct me to the bold new Buy America provisions in the infrastructure blueprint? Can you point to anything in the infrastructure
It's a prevailing
plan?
authority already. It doesn't need to be, it's a prevailing authority.
That was Senator Tammy Baldwin, who joins us now live from Capitol Hill. Senator, let's just clarify before we start. Is there a Buy American edict in the plan discussed today that's as rock solid and crystal clear as the president has stated since he took office?
No, there is absolutely no mention of Buy America policies in the president's infrastructure blueprint that he issued a few weeks ago. And I pressed that point with 5 cabinet secretaries that couldn't point to any reference to Buy America. And yet the president said, not only in the clip that you just played, but when he came to Kenosha, Wisconsin to visit Snap-on Tools, and he said that there would be bold new Buy America provisions and that this principle would be the overriding principle in his infrastructure plan.
Well, you, of course, a senator in Wisconsin, you were pushing very hard. I actually was watching the feed on C-SPAN, and one of the things that you got Elaine Chao to concede was that this thing doesn't have Buy American, Hire American, but it does have waivers that would allow companies to ostensibly wiggle out of using American workers and American products and materials. But she did say there are fewer waivers than past presidents.
So the Buy America provisions that exist always have waivers. But one of the things that we find out is that they're not very transparent. So I have contributed to the Buy America section of the Democrats' version of the infrastructure bill, something that would require that all waivers granted would be publicized, so that we can actually use that information to help U.S. businesses fill gaps if that's the reason the waiver was granted. But the whole idea behind this is to level the playing field for American workers. And when we're using taxpayer dollars, we ought to be investing in American products and American workers.
Well, I'm glad you brought up taxpayer dollars at all, funding what should be a very substantial infrastructure plan. I saw that being bandied about and discussed. Where's the money? Where's it going to come from?
Well, right now, the president's infrastructure blueprint has only about, it has $200 billion of funding, which is a substantial amount, but he claims that that will leverage a total of $1.3 trillion to get to a total of $1.5 trillion. He says that those other funds that will be leveraged will come from private investment as well as local government and state government. But I can tell you in Wisconsin, where our state budget was held up over problems with funding infrastructure, that these cash-strapped localities are not going to be able to fill the difference. And in fact, our Republican governor in Wisconsin said that he thought it should be an 80% federal, 20% state match for infrastructure. We're nowhere close to that.
The president has supported, to the surprise of many Republicans and conservatives, that he would support a 25-cent gas tax. A hike of 25 cents. I think we're at 18 cents now since 1989, but a hike of 25 cents. You see any Republican compatriots in the Senate who have a taste for that?
I haven't heard from my colleagues endorsing that concept, but we also, I think, have to recognize that to make this sustainable well into the future, we have to recognize that basing it on fuel use as we see more and more hybrids and electric cars is not going to be sustainable. And so we've got to be creative. We've got to put every option on the table. But this is not the plan of the president to basically try to leverage private investment and local public investment when our counties and our cities are struggling is going to be a big challenge.
We'll see if the blueprint gets amended to have it stamped in big letters, made in the USA, hire American, buy American.
Buy American.
Senator, thank you very much. Senator
Thank
Tammy
you.
Baldwin, you're welcome, of Wisconsin. By the way, we do want to add that we did reach out to some Republicans, I believe all the Republicans on that same panel. They did not respond or they were unable to.